Just for sound sake, I wonder if we might come around here. Is that shot all right? You're there next to Sue there? All right. Now guys, Phil and Sue are going to read the statement that I sent you all this morning. After that, they'll ask a few questions. There's some things they just can't, they don't know or they can't say, but they'll let me know that. And it won't be very long. Obviously it's very early days for the family, so they're going to take turns reading out part of the statement.
Good morning, everybody. You'll forgive us if we're not exactly up to par today. It has been confirmed that our son, Dr. Andrew Bagshaw, has died. He and a colleague, Chris Parry, were attempting to rescue an elderly woman from Solidar in an area of intense military action at the time when their car was hit by, we understand, an artillery shell. The Ukrainian authorities and the government officials in New Zealand and London have worked hard to learn more for details, but little further is known about the circumstances of his death at this time. Due to official legal processes in Ukraine, it will be some time before Andrew's remains are returned to New Zealand. Andrew was a selfless person. He took many personal risks and saved many lives. We loved him. We are very proud of everything that he did there. Thank you.
Andrew was 47. He was single, and he was the eldest of our family. He had a brother and 2 sisters, and 7 nephews and nieces who he adored, especially when they were little. He was a scientific researcher. He had a PhD in genetics, but he was a volunteer worker in Ukraine. He left home probably about April last year, and when asked whether he will come back, he said, "Not until it's finished. We intend that his death shall not be in vain." We are amongst many parents who are grieving their sons and daughters all around the world. We urge the civilized countries of the world to stop this immoral invasion of Ukraine and help them to rid their homeland of an aggressor. Might is not right. Freedom is not divisible, it's indivisible. The world needs to be strong and stand with Ukraine, giving them the military support they need now and help to rebuild their shattered country after the war. We know that some people would like to give flowers, and it's always the way to say it with flowers, but I'm sure Andrew would feel that it's much better use of the money for people to donate that to help Ukraine. We've thought of 3 choices for people to help. One is to give money towards the ongoing evacuation of the innocent citizens of the Ukraine, and the website is baseua.org. Andrew adored animals, and he was always very distressed by the many stray pets that were in the Donbass. And You Animals is a charity that helps abandoned pets in Ukraine. And of course he was very fond of children, as I know Chris Parry was too. And so donating to the Children's Hospital in Kyiv would be a wonderful way to acknowledge their work. Thank you.
Right, those of you come on out here so they can hear any questions. Right, Phil and Sue will take a few questions.
So, I was just wondering, when was the last time you spoke to Andrew, and what did you talk about?
Well, we communicated via WhatsApp mostly. He sent loads of pictures when he first went. He really stopped communicating all that regularly from about September and October. His sister felt that he was probably getting into the more dangerous work then, and he didn't want to worry us by communicating. We would rather have him that he communicated, but that was his way. He didn't want us to get upset.
Can you tell us about his motivations? He was obviously a very courageous person. What drove him to take all that time in Ukraine?
He was an ultimate humanitarian, basically. He was a very intelligent man and a very independent thinker. And he thought a long time about the situation in Ukraine, and he believed it to be immoral. And he felt that the only thing he could do of a constructive nature was to actually go and help people. And he set off with a rucksack and a travel guide and nothing more. And it's incredible what he achieved in a relatively short space of time. We're told hundreds of people were saved by he and his colleagues under the most amazing of circumstances that would take in water and medicines and food to areas that were being isolated, and they even helped pets that were left and abandoned and fed them. But the chief job was with the people of Ukraine, particularly those who were in a position of danger or stress. And I know we've spoken to a number of the people who worked with him. He was always ready to go and never really evaluated the danger.
When did you first find out that Andrew was missing, and how did you find out?
We've known that something like this was likely to happen for a long time. It is only very recently that they have been able to say to us that there is any degree of certainty that they know where he was or what had happened to him. As very recent news. Even now, they're still investigating who the people are. They have to cope with enormous numbers of dead and dying people. But it's only very recently that we were told by the New Zealand police first, and then by the Foreign Office in London, that there is a high degree of certainty that he's dead.
Where is Andrew now?
He is in the mortuary at the Children's Hospital in Kyiv.
The Ukrainian officials have to go through a process where they do a proper ID and a post-mortem, and then the death certificate will have a copy of it.
As his parent, how does it feel to hear, we've spoken to those who work with him, who said, as you said, that he saved hundreds of lives with him and his colleagues. How does it feel to hear that he's made such an enormous difference with what he's done?
We're struggling to cope with the feeling of that.
We're very, very proud of him. He was an amazing man. He had so much talent. I mean, he would have given so much to the research world, and did. Had lots of papers printed, but he felt human beings were more important.
You must be very proud of him.
Very proud.
Have you been in touch with Christopher Perry's family at all throughout?
Yes, we have. They like us, don't know what to say, but they've done a media release to time it with ours, and it's been a bit difficult with the time difference, but they've emailed us, and Chris left behind a sister.
What would be your message to other New Zealanders wanting to go and provide aid in Ukraine?
It's very, very dangerous. It needs doing. It's very dangerous, and I wouldn't want people to go and put other people's lives in danger trying to rescue them. But at the same time, it's very needed, and people need to have water and food. I mean, the Russians, in my view, are committing genocide. They're starving the people out of there. It's what they did in Mariupol too. So it's totally immoral. War crimes go on every day.
We've had some friends say to us that Andrew wouldn't like this publicity, he'd be really embarrassed about it,
No.
but he would want something good to come out of it. What is your view on that?
Well, that's why we're focusing on, supporting the people of Ukraine, because that's what Andrew would want. He had a great affinity with the people of Ukraine. He was really admiring of their stubbornness, not to give in, and to see victory in their country.
We will take up the cause and we will go and speak to as many people as we can about something being done. We are not without resources, Sue and I.
You mentioned earlier that you don't want his death to be in vain. Can you explain what you mean by that and what that will lead to?
Well, we'd love to go and speak at the UN. I told them
Yeah. Given half
to
a
shake
chance, we
themselves
will.
up out of their suits and their plush living and their fancy words and say people are dying all the time. And this is just not Ukraine. I mean, there's wars all over. It's about time we realise that war does not solve anything.
Does Andrew always have a social conscience? Did he always have that sort of moral social conscience? I mean, I know as a family you're obviously very appreciated for the work you do. Was that something that came through in him very early on?
Yeah, I think he was always up for the underdog.
Yeah. He basically was an intellectual, there's no question. And he would go away and think about things all on his own. And he would come up with what he believed was the morally right thing or the morally wrong thing. And then he would do something about it. And nothing we said or did would change his views. We did try to convince him not to go. We rapidly realised it was a waste of time.
Was he with a specific aid group or were they...
No, he went
individuals?
independently.
Yeah.
At first he was working with a team that helped load things onto the railways, and then he went deeper and deeper into the Donbass and gained this amazing affinity for the local people.
He was living in the Donbass for a long time, yeah.
And are you getting assistance at the moment from the New Zealand government, the Ukrainian government about...
Mostly the Foreign Office in London, and they're handling everything that local people are going through the Foreign Office, because he was a dual citizen.
Phil and Sue, you wanted to say something about the media about being careful about the disinformation that might be...
Yes, thank you. We know there are a lot of rumours are going around.
Yeah, if you go on the net, you'll find all sorts of rumours there. A lot of it is coming out of the Wagner Group and so on. This comes from people whose lives are full of lies and falsehoods. And all I can say is, and have no truth. All I can say is Andrew's life was full of a search for the truth and complete honesty. And so he is a complete anathema to people like that.
What we've been feeling is that a lot of the rumours are put out deliberately to stop Western aid going in.
Yeah.
And so the more those rumours are fed, the worse.
Mm-hmm.
So we would really encourage people, if they hear the rumours, to please tell the Foreign Office in London, the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, because they want to hear the rumours and check them out. But don't amplify them.
And are there any plans at this stage? Have you put plans in place for a memorial service? Or
Not at this stage, no. We don't know when he will be returned or anything like that. Again, he wouldn't want a big memorial service. A fundraising effort for Ukraine, maybe, I would say. We're trying very hard to do what we think he would want, rather than what we feel.
And in many ways, it sounds like his cause is going to live on through both of you. Is there anything, any plans that you have around furthering that cause in his memory?
Do as much talking as we can.
We'll start by organising a lecture campaign, and if we can take that overseas, then we will.
And work with the Ukraine too, because that's what Andrew would have wanted, that we work with them.
Okay, maybe one more question if anyone's got a burning one. Other than that, we'll just close things down. Everybody happy?
Thank you all
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Yeah, thank
And,
you for getting the story out.
And Phil and Sue, as well as thanking you all, they won't be talking to media, which is why we called this today, for a while now, while they come to terms with everything. Perhaps, you know, in the fullness of time, days, next few weeks, but any request to come through me, and I will put those requests to Phil and Sue and see how they're feeling at the time.
Happy to do more in depth when we know more.
Thank you.
Thank you for speaking to us today.
Thank you.